Bom, olá pessoal, bom dia. Vamos começar mais uma transmissão aqui. Oh, Rick, I think you need to put me as translator.
Okay, I thought you were in there. Let's let me do that again here. Ah. Okay, just having a little problem with the language app right now. It's not allowing me to add.
Maybe I'll leave the room and come back again. See if it works.
Yes, you might have to do that, or I might have to end the language interpretation and redo it here. Maybe I should try that first.
Okay.
Okay, let me do that. Okay, we'll end it and redo it. Oh, there we go. Okay, now get this set up. We got Pennsylvania. Oops. Okay, I think I've got that. Okay, there we go. Let's try that. Okay, I think we're all set now with the yes, I got the local recording now. Should be good. Let me know if there's any problems. Yeah, you might have to request recording even. Oh, let me reestablish that again. For Stephania. Okay. We're just about there. I think we're there now. Okay, thank you for bearing with us. We're about to begin the workshop now.
Disclaimer: the information and education material contained herein is meant to promote the general understanding and dialogue of GANs processing. Such information is not meant or intended to serve as a substitute for a healthcare professional's clinical training, experience, or judgment. For patients and individuals, such information is not to be a substitute for professional medical, therapeutic, or healthcare advice or counseling. For medical issues or concerns, including decisions about medications and other treatments, readers, viewers, listeners should always consult their physician or, in serious cases, seek immediate assistance from emergency personnel. Prescription information, procedures, and use of medical devices information should be undertaken only by properly trained and certified medical personnel. We specifically disclaim any warranties, express or implied, including implied warranties of merchantability or fitness for a particular purpose. Such information is provided, as is, and is believed to be accurate at the time of its publishing, but it is the viewer's job to evaluate the accuracy of any information found in this presentation. Every case presented is of their own experience, applied by themselves for themselves, and it applies to their case only. Every person experiencing health problems should seek professional medical advice and consult their course of treatment with a doctor. The processes of plasma balancing described herein are a natural process which supports the body but does not replace medical advice or therapies one is already subject to.
In understanding something which we never understood, but we emphasize again and again on it for you to understand. In a dimension of the physicality of the man, we know in a dimension of physicality of the man has no physical dimension if there is not an environmental field, which means we have no dimension, if there was no magnetical gravitational field of the earth around us. If we move to another dimension, if we move to another position, and the environment changes, we'll find out that us as man will not exist. This is a very nice trick. But what will be interesting for most of us is if we change the field, the environmental field, do we become invisible? In the field dimension of the man, on earth, we have a physicality. When we change the fields, we disappear. What kind of new creatures would be us manifesting ourselves at? Is the possibility of a line of life changes? Or do we still have that possibility, that what I call having the soul inside it? Having the soul that can bring the dimension of physicality to the soul of physicality in a new condition of life. In a way, if we change, if we bring a new condition, a new environment, how would we look? Would we trust to be able to go back to our original colors and conditions and life as a man? Would we think as a man in a dimension, or would we think as a new creature, new understanding according to the environment we manifest ourselves? The truth about all this is that have we understood that we have a nuclear bomb with massive radiation capabilities, that is a cosmic rays, sits within the center of the body of the man. We call it the soul of the man. It is more energetic, it's more powerful in strength than the whole of the physicality put together. Body of the man is made of billions and billions of cells, and each cell itself has an energy to maintain its position and the condition of life. So the body of the man physically is a energy packs times billions, trillions. And that energy in the dynamic motion transfer of the fields to what we call its blood creates a cage to hold this in. One energy pack encaging another. But there is an interconnection between these two that allows one to be embedded inside the other. In a way, if you look at it in a bigger scale, you have your physical dimension outside from the interaction of these two. It's very much like gravity and magnetical field. In the interaction, we create the mass. Physicality. There is no difference if you call the soul of physicality magnetical field and the soul of the man the gravitational field, with the capability that one can change position with the other. Through an interconnection, through an interline power level, what we call common denominator, they can switch from one to another. Then this switch will decide in interaction with the environment how you manifest yourself at a point and a place. You switch the fields to the dimension of physicality, what do we have? We are going to have an amazing condition where what we call the dimension of the interaction, dimension of the position and the position of the fields can create the different dimension of physicality of the man in the same environment. What it means, you can change slightly the emotion, the dimension, and the direction. And then in that process, you can turn from being a white man to a black man. Because the environment of the earth has not changed. Is the field emotion of the place you live in allows you to do the transmutation. You look like Chinese, you speak Chinese, you understand the emotion of the Chinese language. Because now you kept within the gravitational magnetic field of the planet Earth. Is the inertia and a position in respect to the center and a condition of the fields of the inertia created, which gives you that environment. Don't forget, when you enter a new environment, let's say from England you go to China, the soul of the Chinese dictates part of that inertia. The soul of emotion of the nation, culture, language dictates that part of inertia. That's why you manifest yourself if you decide as a Chinese and understand the whole lot. Then the language and the dictionaries are not needed, because now you don't need to press this and it gives you the meaning but not the emotion of. Now when you speak, you understand, your soul has the emotion of the feeling of the word too. Now you decide to change the gravitational field of the earth to the moon. Now you manifest yourself in that position in the moon as a man of the moon. Is there a life on the moon? Is the collective life and interaction of your soul with it teaches you how to communicate, how to exist? Or you create a new dimension that the interaction of the emotion of the soul of the man and the soul of his guardian man translates that to the existence on that planet. You learn the language, you learn the feature, not out of transmutation, but by the collection of the interaction of the fields of the environment, of the soul of the people, entities who live in that environment. They transfer the energy, they transfer the knowledge to you as much as you transfer to them. It's not only the transmutation by the physical dimension, is interaction of the soul of the man in transmutation that interacts with the soul of the citizens of that environment, that allows you to be part of, to be understood, and to live like them.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 505th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, September 28th, 2023. This is a broadcast of the Keshe Foundation, Spaceship Institute Education Department, and part of the public teachings in English. My name is Rick Crammond, and I'll be host once again in this weekly series of workshops. And once again, we have the pleasure and company of Mr. Mehran Keshe as our guide through today's teaching and information from the Keshe Foundation. Okay, Mr. Keshe, are you ready to go there?
Yes, thank you very much. Good morning, good day to you, as usual, wherever and whenever you listen to this series of knowledge seekers from Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. As usual, welcome you back. And as usual, we'll try to discuss, understand, and share some knowledge from different parts of the world and universe and about our own structure and the rest. As usual, we make a few small announcements and we carry on somehow walking into the teaching of sharing knowledge. The event of the 11th of November is more or less settled and is on its full path to be set to be, in a way, to come to light. The promoters will announce this through the channels and the other ways they know what to do. And the sessions have been separated very clearly together and with each other. We have got a session which is from the Monday to Friday. We have a session which is Saturday and Sunday till about 2 o'clock, because a lot of people would like to catch a flight and travel back wherever they come from. And there is a session for Saturday night, which is exclusive. In this session of the meeting with the world ambassadors, technology in exchange for peace will be closely monitored and watched and participated by a number of the nations and their ambassadors and some diplomats and politicians. Those of you who registered for the week-long session, you will find many new people from different cultures and people you do not know as knowledge seekers will join in this part. The same will be with the Saturday and Sunday session. And on Saturday night, the 11th, which is held in a very nice environment, those who have paid for the Saturday session and Sunday and the week session will be freely allowed into the Saturday night session. The Saturday night session is set to bring the technology and show new developments. New developments which will, in a way, rock the world of science. Not a maglev, not whatever, but the limit of technology will change the space technology altogether. By Sunday morning, the world of space technology will change. When the world broadcasters by the world media will come to understand man has taken 100, 200-year leaps over the present space technology. We are not there to talk. We are there to show, to deliver technologies which you can feel, you can touch, and you can be part of. Then there is no ambiguity. The hall is set for 500 people. Section of it is allocated to world ambassadors. Section of it allocated to media and to the politicians, and a section to the world of science and technology. We expect to see representatives from NASA and the other major space organizations around the world. Then we go to the next step of literally showing technologies. Some of you seen some of it, some of you will see new development, new change, new environment. Do not forget, I come back on a foot of long stay in China, and technologies will be brought in conjunction with the Chinese government in support for what we call opening the technology. This week you heard about the Chinese announcement that they want to bring that everything to be shared. This is part of that program. The knowledge with the support of the Chinese will be shared internationally, supported, and everything else which the arrangements are made. In a way, political strength, financial strength of China, and the new technology by Keshe Foundation and the rest of the knowledge seekers will be brought up in this conference. We see and we announce new agreements with different governments in that meeting, solidifying and the beginning of the start of a new space technology. We will show systems which has been unimaginable that the knowledge of the man can reach such a point. But we will change the course scientifically, not by talk. Those of you who attended some of my presentations in the past, if you remember, for example, when you came to Nino, we used to give you things to take, to remember, to understand. In the presentation of London, you carry out things with your back that you can test. The governments can test. The scientific world of science and technology can test that the knowledge is freely shared simultaneously with all the nations. Those of you who have booked yourself for each session separately will be allocated that time. Please check your emails if you have registered and your trash or whatever, that you continuously are updated what announcement is going to be made. As usual, the place and the position of each conference will be released a few days before the announcement. If you book a hotel within central London, you can't be very far from where we are. Anywhere within center of London and Thames is perfect position for you to be. The venue is kept in a beautiful hall, a meeting, and it'll be bring out the beauty with the technology. Those of you who are planning to come to London, make sure you have confirmation from Keshe Foundation with a code. If you don't carry the confirmation, do not turn up, please. There is no last minute somebody turning up at the door. Due to presence of the ambassador, security is tight, and only those who have received confirmation from Keshe Foundation will be allowed in. We still have a number of seats available at half donation received. The donation received is large, so we have allowed it. We don't discuss the numbers, but can go to a lot of people can participate. Still, 50% will be covered by donation and 50% has got to be paid by participant. A number of Universal Council members have been invited by the Keshe Foundation by sponsorship we have received. So we have the representation of Universal Council members by allocation, which those who have donated have been appointed. Universal Council will be presented by its members who are invited, will be in the auditorium. So we see the beginning of the interaction between the two arms of the government, scientific organizations, diplomats, and the Universal Council in the first step. There are numbers of points which we would like to announce and be careful for you. Make sure you don't carry anything illegal. It will be taken off you and you will not be allowed to go in. Your ticket automatically cancelled. We've seen in other conferences people come with their knives, machetes, and all sorts of things in their pockets, whatever. Anything found on you which is illegal, even narcotics, you'll be tested for. You will not be allowed to participate, and there is no refund. This is a very important event for us, for the Keshe Foundation, and for humanity. Please, those of you who participate, comply with the rules and regulations. Security is tight. You'll be body searched, you'll be back searched, and everything else which is going. Doesn't matter you're a knowledge seekers or not. Be aware that at this conference on Saturday night, we are there to present the Keshe Foundation and the birth of new technology to be shared by others who blocked us to be sharing up to them. Make sure you enjoy the day. And I'm sure when you leave, you will take part of history with you. And will bring that change in a very powerful way. Most of the Keshe Foundation scientific team will be present in this presentation and will endeavor to bring the realistic where you could be even part of the trial, part of the presentation. Any restrictions, any changes we will announce as we get closer to it. But please make sure, after more or less today, the seats will most probably go to a lot of embassies, a lot of scientific organizations, and there will be no seat for knowledge seekers. We have set out to bring the change, and we have set out to bring the change the correct way. And at the same time, as knowledge seekers, when you are in that conference on the 11th, you're representing the Keshe Foundation amongst the others who know nothing about, and are there to understand. So each one of you is an ambassador from the knowledge, the present knowledge, and your teachers to those who come to face the new revolution and evolution in science. Be cordial and try to understand. At this moment of time, there is no plan for translators, unless we see necessary. At this moment in time, we are not bringing any interpreters in unless we see necessary in a later date. A lot of presentations will depend on international broadcasting organizations, how the conference will be presented and what arrangements we made between the promoters and the media. We ask you, when you join in, come in as knowledge seekers and teachers for those who could be sitting next to you and will be baffled by the technology. As we go forward, we'll let you know more, and we'll try to update you with all the, what we call, nitty-gritties of the work as it comes. There's an announcement I've been trying to tell knowledge seekers for weeks, and I keep on forgetting. And I have announced it before, I announce it again. Knowledge seekers, please do not travel to Turkey. Do not transfer any accounts or money into Turkey, as it can affect your travels and your life without you knowing it. The same applies to United Arab Emirates. Be very much on your guard that without knowing you get involved in this, because it's a very, very serious situation. And the foundation got trapped into it. And it's taken us months and months, we're trying to sort it out. We don't want you to go through the same. In respect to Keshe Foundation Exhibition Center, the Exhibition Center will close on the 15th of October and will be moved totally to the City of London. The position and place of it will be announced in the due course, and we try, if we can, to open it for the time of the exhibition that people can go to and relate into. This will be announced in a coming time as our friends in UK are trying to help us to complete this process. Going back to the teaching, in the intro, we saw a very powerful presentation and understanding. We saw the picture where what happened if you change the environment. What happened if we change the field strength of the environment? We know this in matter state, and we've seen it, and to us is natural because state of the matter changes. For example, as I've said before, you're in a room and suddenly temperature changes and you become aware of steam on the window and on the glass, and you're aware that temperature condition has changed. You see the moisture on the glass. You feel the change in temperature in you. The plasma technology is the same, but the field strength changes, not the matter state condition. What happened if you're sitting on a chair in your room and we change the field strength of the room? In the matter state, if we change the temperature of the room, if we create, for example, a fire in the room, you become a dust. That's how, in the case of fires, we know if there's been an individual and, for example, they burnt in the fire. We have ashes. In the plasma state, we don't have such a thing. By changing the environment, by changing the field strength of the environment, your body does not blows up, disintegrates. Your body becomes part of the field. Your body becomes, in a way, sugar in a glass of water. When it's cold, you see the grains of sugar at the bottom. When you heat it up, it becomes part of, you cannot separate it. This is what happens with you in a plasma condition. There are two factors. How you will keep the structure of the central field forces of the plasma of the body, we call the soul of the man, and the soul of physicality of the man, connected, part of the same structure, and how they will manifest themselves in a new gravitational magnetic field. In the London conference, we will try, we endeavor to show this. What happened if we change the fields compared to the rest of the environment? In London conference, we endeavor, if possible, and our knowledge seekers understand the process completely, to show you the fish, which we promised for a long time. We don't bring the fish. We change the environment that the fish manifests itself. This is what the knowledge of the plasma has to become. Would the soul of the fish decides to manifest itself as a man? And would we recognize it? As I said, we endeavored to show new technologies in London conference. We have endeavored to bring what has been achieved to be shown and what can be achieved to be shown. We are not afraid of failures or not happening. We are there to make it to happen. The London conference presentation will be followed by Beijing and a number of other nations. As you remember, before Corona, we started a series of presentations around the world, which we had to stop immediately after Malta conference due to Corona. But these presentations will show the structured development from conference to conference. Beijing is the center point of the change. We try to show the technology in Tokyo, Tehran. We move to Frankfurt, and from Frankfurt to Washington. We'll move to Brasilia to show the technology and move to South Africa. We'll show in 2024 in Australia and every living continent on this planet. The same evolution in technology. And what has been upgraded step by step. We take the knowledge to the people. And we show how maybe by the time we get to end of next year, the Chinese walks within the environment of the system. We create the condition of Africa. He will be African, speak Swahili, and will understand the culture of our African representative in the conference. These are not dreams. You will see systems which will be delivered in coming time that facilitates, and I'm sure by then more and more organizations around the world will push to speed up the process. We endeavor by 2025, 2026 to make electric cars obsolete by introducing what we were to introduce to show in Eindhoven show in 2011, what we call plasma system cars, which has no engine and works in a very simple system of interaction of magnetic positioning. We most probably show these in Beijing or in Tehran for the first time in the coming months. In a way, all the effort of the man to make electric cars will come to an end. We understand the interaction of the fields. We understand the interaction and creation of matter state of the fields. We understand the technicality of conversion. In so many ways, we bring the knowledge to nation by nation equal. I foresee presentation in Tehran and Tel Aviv about the same time. Presentation of the technology in Korea and United States at the same time. In Africa and in China at the same time. Where knowledge becomes common knowledge, and technology becomes part of the structure of the present time. The beauty of it is its simplicity. And the beauty of it is all of you have been given the knowledge for past years as patents, but you never understood. And I hope, my biggest wish is that the scientists and governments and others who start understanding will not fall only for matter state and understand the work of the plasma. If they do so, and the evolution in the science of the man will be so rapid that none of us will recognize today's technology, and none of us will rely on the present matter state technologies as we think they're so advanced. In the London conference, we'll try to show how we can change people while they're in the conference, emotionally and scientifically. It's a demonstration of technology, it's a demonstration of the knowledge of the man, and it's a demonstration of the time for change. How we absorb energy from cosmos. What are the techniques of absorbing energy from cosmos in a correct way? When you start a fire, you start with a candle and you blow it, let it hold, and you blow into the wood till it takes hold and gradually becomes a fire. Man has not learned how to start the candle, how to trigger it, how to initiate it within his soul. There is a knowledge, and this knowledge is become technical, it's a technology. And it's important for us how to trigger it. Those of you who attended the print of your soul and you received your grabs will be shown, will be guided how to take the next step, to be able to see where you brought the change, where your soul switches to physicality and the physicality back to soul, and where you have managed to hold on to the condition of the soul. So you start the first process of the transmutation, understanding how you do it and understand how you can keep it. As we finished the first cycle of taking all the, what we call prints of the soul, now we spend time with the knowledge seekers to explain to them to understand. And with that, guide them to go through. A session was set for tomorrow to meet with all the knowledge seekers. This session will be changed into November due emergencies, which has come through due to London conference. We have to change the date of tomorrow to 14th, 15th of November. But in these sessions, we explain to you directly with what you received at the time of the interaction of your soul with the soul of physicality, how you expanded your soul to pass your dimension of physicality, and if you understood, you will understand how to do it. The first phase of transmutation will start. And in that process, you learn how to transmute, how to initiate the condition of the transformation, how to absorb energies from the environment to elevate your soul. Many of you will come to understand it's so easy that due to easiness of it, we have ignored it. Does not need magic and magicians, does not need religions and whatever they call it, sitting yoga, upside down, meditation, and the rest of it. It's us to understand how to connect the two together that the spark, the transition will come. This transition of expansion of the soul repeats itself millions of times, thousands of times. Every day on this planet, we call it death. How can it be that difficult? But this time, we have control of it. This time, the knowledge we carry allows us to go through the transmutation and don't create the separation. If creation of day and night is just by rotation, by interaction of two fields against each other, if the separation of the soul and soul of physicality happens thousands, millions of times a day only on this planet, then it cannot be hard. It happens to man, we bury it. It happens to animals, we eat them. It happens to the plants, we chew them. In billions and billions of times a day. How hard that can be. The hardness of it is and has been our own lack of understanding of the work of the universe and nothing else. We did not understand how the field of the soul of the man, how the field of the soul of physicality of the man, how the fields of physicality of the man, how the fields of the environment of the earth, how the field of environment of the solar system and the universe collectively interact to create a condition of transmutation and transportation. We call it death or a dream. The dream is when the soul transmutes and travels the span of universe. The death it comes when it detaches itself from the physicality of the position. Just because we have not understood it does not mean its impossibilities. Every planet has a sunrise and a sunset in every solar system. Every galaxy has a sunrise and a sunset. This is something which the man has not understood because we are so self-centered around this village of the earth. If you understand this, it will be so easy to find the path to the Creator, to see the direction of understanding. The world of science today has not understood this principle, even we live by it every day. Where the light comes from the first interactions of the fields of the earth with the fields of the sun. We call it dawn, beginning of the interaction. We see the full light. We call it the noon, the middle of the day, where the planet and its creator, the star, shines. So if our scientists have understood this, by looking at the galaxy, By seeing how and which side shines, we can find the path to the center of the universe. We can find the direction of the center of a galaxy. We just look at the small light on our own planet and call it a day. Then we can find the day and the lifetime of a star in its interaction of its fields with the center point, its creator. And then, once man matures to this point, we'll see again which side of his universe is lit. Then he finds himself the direction of the unicos, the position of this creator, the position where he started from. The earth started from the sun by radiating its fields and gathering over billions of years to become the earth. And by rotating around itself, it dictates its time of interaction directly with its source. We call it the daylight. We have the same galaxy lights, we have the same universal lights. And then, as we see everything shines in the sky of the man as the stars, which way these shine more? And then we find the path to our creator. We know the way home. We feel, we understand the dimension of the creation. We come to understand how to travel from Earth into the sun, and from the sun into the center of the galaxy, and from the center of galaxy into the center of the universe, and from center of the universe to the creator of the unicos. Man can spend billions of years and never get there, or man can understand it in 1 second and achieve and find the path. Depending on which field of strength the man decides to manifest itself from the inner sector of his own energy, changing of the fields in the room. There is no difference between the man in the room that we change the environment and the man in the unicos when he decides to find the field strength of his environment, to manifest itself in that position. This is why I always said the soul can find its path to creator in 1 second. And the soul can travel the span of the universe for billions of years and never find the path. You have to look for the dimension and the direction of the light, the essence of interaction of the fields of the creator with them. You do not need to travel to the center of the galaxy to see where the light is stronger to go to find the center of the universe, and then see we said that the universe is much lighter than the rest to find the direction to the creator. You can reach that essence of creation by finding the right field of strength to reach to the point, return back to become part of the essence of the creation of the creator in 1 instant. Many souls kill, destroy to get to that point. And they don't understand how further down the line they go instead of developing to the direction of understanding the world of creation, the path to the creator, to become part of the original rays as he absorbs in to reflect. The reason I brought this subject up is that in a coming time and in the presentations to come, some of you will see light on different position and direction of the system to be shown. Which light, in which direction, is the path to the center of the galaxy, to the sun, to the center of universe, and to the center of unicos. And how much of those fields you can absorb to elevate your soul, to understand and become part of the transportation of the soul from the beginning to the end, and from end to the beginning. When we demonstrate the new technologies, each one of you will see light, and some of you see no light. It means your soul has not expanded to the dimension and direction of interaction and the strength of the fields of the time, place, and position. In the teaching of the past couple of days, a couple of weeks, and in past month or two, with those of you who were in Manchester conference, we showed you graphs, we showed you live presentation of while you're in the system, what is going on. The same way, we can tell you what the strength of the fields you're absorbing. You have opened yourself to receive cosmic rays at what level? To the level of the elevation of the soul of the man to the creator, or what we call diminishing of the strength to go further, because soul knows your conduct. In the presentation of the technologies in coming weeks and months, and once the religious leaders understand what this technology, what the fact and knowledge deliver, will take their heads, the turbines, and walk away from religion. It's hard and takes too much energy to fight. It's easy to show that they dismantle themselves. In a way, we show science with the ethos of Mitra, which covers both the ethics and the science together. In the conference room of London, many of you will see different lights, different colors, or no color. You will see, you will understand when you see the golden light, when you see the white light, that if you manage to reach that point, you have seen the light of the Creator, in the essence of understanding of the man. As human race, as the energy fields of the waters of this planet. The technology to be shown in London will open a new path to the knowledge of the man. But one thing has to be understood: man cannot put down all the technology of the present just because there is a new one in the market. The science and the technology of the matter state has to be developed in a deeper way, in conjunction with understanding the fields which creates matter conditions and matter positions and everything to the matter state. Man cannot abandon the matter state understanding, the research and development which has gone into for thousands of years to get man to where it is, that through it man now can understand the work of his soul. By abandoning the matter state understanding and development, man will cut his own leg. You need two legs to walk in harmony. And the scientists have to understand, if they understand both and collaborate between both and apply both the appropriate way, according to the condition and the target of the matter state or energy state of demand, man will open a new knowledge and science and technologies that it'll take every man's university position to understand. In so many ways, in London Conference, we open a horizon of knowledge, status, conditions, evolution in technology, understanding of the interaction of the fields at which strength, matter state to be solid, matter state to be vertical, matter state to be horizontal, to be in a condition of the fields of the plasma, and how to interact and interconnect between all these. Don't forget, you drive a car on the road, and there is a lines of ants coming from one side to the other. In one instant, you transfer the physicality into energy of thousands or hundreds of souls, which are released by your mistake running over. If man understand this, then man will understand transmutation and transportation and conversion is part of the essence of the creation and does not need to be touched, does not need to be tampered with. It needs to be understood. And then it comes, as I said this to knowledge seekers a long time ago. Now we create a car which hovers. The ants will live his life. And maybe by passing of the car, using plasmatic fields, receives energy that elevates his soul. This is the difference between same car and understanding of two essence of the creation, hand in hand, yin and yang, matter state and plasma. One takes life and one elevates life, but both have the same purpose of carrying one soul from one position to another, as the passengers of the car. The development of the new technology is so deep in that it will frighten you even to think about it and what it'll imply. When you use the what are called plasma maglev systems as transportation as cars, these systems create their own soul, as you understood in the star formation. An interaction of the souls will position the soul of the child which crosses the road. That child will never be touched. Now you understand how deep this technology will change every aspect of the physical state matter of the life on this planet. The Belgians blocked us to show this on 26th of November 2011. In November and December of 2023, we'll show it again. But in a more powerful way, in a more understanding way, in a way that more people as knowledge seekers have understood part of it. We are not going to show you a hovering system in a conference. We give you the essence of the knowledge. In so many ways, in the upcoming months, the state of the knowledge understanding of interaction of the fields will change. We'll see bankruptcies in a matter of state in billions. Governments have to realign themselves for the new technology. It should not be no fear for no government that there will be unemployment. How we feed the nation, how we look after the nation, as they automatically, due to understanding and supporting the conversion, will feed their nationals through the systems which we have introduced as plasma transmission, the flight systems, and the rest. It will take a rapid change in development. In the London conference, in the presence of the American ambassador, the Iranian ambassador, and the Chinese, will show that there is no need for war, no need for armament. The power sits amongst the people. The power sits with you, 500 people sitting in the auditorium. You see what your government sees. You see what power is in your hand and what they have to deliver. Not having a job is not sentencing a man to poverty. Not having a job should give the man freedom of the traveling the space, where now there is no job, there are no factories in the space. How many of the astronauts we've seen manufacturing goods to pay for their food when they're in the space? The evolution in science will come when our leaders, our ambassadors, our scientists, our military men are faced with the reality of the new technology. I saw that in the eyes of generals in China, where they had to dust the material of their clothing and tell their advanced, more what it calls super scientists that the technology is here because it's on my jacket. I felt it, I touched it, and I breathed the thing inside me. The position and the condition of the new technology should bring peace as the ultimate outcome of the new technology. We do not fight the nations. We provide so much of it that it melts the nation into peace. In the London conference, and the follow-up in Beijing and other capitals around the world, we bring the knowledge to people. Where the governments have to act to satisfy the new change. How do our government decide, I put £500 in your account as unemployed, and I put you £200 a month as a pensioner in your account? Today's structure of looking after the elderly is so unjust. As they work their life, paid for nations to be built, and they're given a meager amount just to live. And those who are unemployed and young get more than those who gave their life for the nation. With this technology, all men become equal. The wealth of the nation is how it looks after its citizens, especially those who build the nation. And this technology will allow. The pensioners should not switch off the heater that they cannot pay the bill. they switch to Keshe Foundation and they receive all the energies and the foods they need. The technological development is not to be done. It's already here and it's done. It needs the support of the nations to reach it to their citizens without the fear that they lose control. We've seen this structure, this way of working in the establishment of EU, United European Community, where government is still governed, but they all abide by one central rule. We've seen that in the state of United States, where 50 states, nations, but abide by one central when it comes to the base. Now we all abide as citizens of this planet by one rule. And it's a minimum that all should have, irrespective if you are living in a palace or you live in the jungles of Africa. The knowledge we have brought is the beginning of the change. The change has to come in with the government. The purpose of the meeting with ambassadors is to make sure that both the governments and the citizens all know what is on the table, that no one can shortcut the other as the other nations will do to shortcut the whole lot for the rest. The new approach of Chinese government will make sure of that through the Keshe Foundation technology. Sharing of the knowledge has to be open to all. In my negotiation with the Chinese government, categorically it's stated that we bring scientists from all over the world to China. One part Chinese scientists and one part the international community knowledge seekers. If they want to keep their scientists to be picking up from the international community and become more advanced, they should know that others will do the same. And after 4 months, 5 months of signing this contract, we see the reflection of the agreement in the new announcement by the Chinese government. Because they know this technology is so simple, they have seen it, they have felt it, and they know it'll bring a change. What they offer to the international community, they have to offer first to internally to own nations. Chinese citizens cannot be any shortfall of the rest of the world citizens that the government of China is trying to change, to bring that is shared. And this will bring a balance between the nations and all the citizens of this planet. In a Saturday night, 11th of November, many of you will see the beginning of the change, when the world ambassadors will shake and shiver and pass the message on to the leaders. The change has come. And those as the citizens sitting on the chairs next to them will say, we are the citizens and we know what is in hand and we can do it without you. When you attend the conference, all of you will be given, as usual, the way the Keshe Foundation works, something to take back with you that nobody says you dreamt. And we endeavor to bring that change on the 11th of November 2023. In my meeting with the world ambassadors privately in next 2, 3, 4 weeks, we make sure that the scientists are there as much as the politicians and diplomats, that they can explain to their governments what the change will be and how the change will as I said, and it's in the holy books many times, when it rains, when it showers, it rains on all men equal. Black, white, Chinese, Iranian, American, dog, and the cat. And in London conference, we rain knowledge and technologies and materials on you and your diplomats that nobody can deny. We go for a break, we come back, and I hope you understood a lot today in what is for mankind to come, and how to come, and how to understand to implement it. When I release the keys to the government, you knowledge seekers shouted, how you betrayed us. You sold us to the government. When we gave it to you to do it, and we showed you the Maghreb, you shouted, how again? Something is wrong. This time, in London conference, I put you against your leaders and your governments and citizens together. See how you lot handle each other, and your governments, and your diplomats, and demanding the change. And the government knowing that you can implement the change without them, and then leads to what we call the new structure of the society in the coming time for man. And then the establishment of full control and understanding of the work of the Universal Council. I hope you understood, and I opened the door in why and how we set up the 11th of November. Technology in exchange for peace. Not peace of silencing the gun. Peace for man and his soul, an understanding of the work of the creation, scientifically, correctly, and without any profits. The interpretation of the knowledge comes according to your own intelligence and know-how. Rick, take us to our small break as usual, and we come back.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe. I guess that makes the Keshe Foundation truly a non-profit organization. Okay, we'll go into a break here with a couple of videos and be back shortly. This is the 505th Knowledge Seekers Workshop, Thursday, September 28th, 2023.
The new Horizontal Enhancement Spaceship Unit, a space technology that allows you to work with the fields of the universe. Creating a wide range of plasma field interactions and conditions, it allows the body to process itself from any physical or emotional imbalance. Once this balanced condition is achieved, the soul and emotion of the man can follow to find their balance, elevating the whole of the man. The new Horizontal Enhancement Spaceship Unit. Technology of the future through advanced plasma knowledge.
The revolutionary new Flight Enhancement Spaceship unit is due to be launched in June 2022, and in the same year is expected to fly passengers into space, to the moon and beyond for a day or even several days at a time. There is no need for the Flight Enhancement Spaceship unit to carry food or medicine, as it is equipped with the latest space technology for transportation, transmutation and deep space operation. This extraordinary breakthrough technology ushers in a new era of travel without the need of fuel, food, or medicine, even during the longest excursions into deep space. Each spaceship unit has a 4-passenger capacity for long or short duration flights and has the capability to travel between cities on Earth in a matter of seconds to minutes, depending on the distance and speed. This ability to traverse massive distance in such incredibly short time is not just a breakthrough for human transport, it also completely revolutionizes the transportation of goods and cargo and will rapidly overcome the need for one of our most polluting practices, namely marine shipping, as it finally breaks us free not only from the combustion of heavy diesel, but from the combustion of any fuel for propulsion in the future. The Flight Enhancement Spaceship Unit, a new paradigm in space travel, space medicine, and space technology.
Okay, we're back again at the 505th Knowledge Seekers Workshop. And since this is the second half, that usually means that people have the opportunity to ask questions of Mr. Keshe. And I'll remind our attendees here in the Zoom meeting that they can put up their virtual hand and then we can recognize you to open your microphone. And people in the live stream and YouTube chats can write questions into the chat if you like, and we'll attempt to address them. Mr. Keshe, is that how you'd like to begin, or is there something you'd like to say beforehand? How would you like to proceed?
See what the questions are and see where we go.
Okay. Well, we have in YouTube a couple of interesting questions from Hakan Tayana. The question is, how can we measure the plasma field? Thank you.
The plasma fields are all the tools in the arsenal of the knowledge of the man. The easiest way for knowledge seekers to understand the strength, or at least conversion of the plasma field to matter state fields, or part of the plasma fields which are on matter strength, is by a simple magnet. If you find the right magnet or construct magnets which gives you the desired fields, you can measure it. Do you know this is a measurement? And it takes a lot of doing, a lot of workout, assessing, and in a way measurement. If you go through, as I explained, some of you who had the process of the original systems which are made years ago, and there are hundreds of them with some of the knowledge seekers, is I developed a technology.
Oops.
What is happening here?
Sorry, I pushed a button there to stop participants participating because Stefania's mouse was coming up on the screen and probably my own as well. So I have to figure out how to restart that again here.
The new
or maybe if you can, there you go.
Yeah, I've got it back. No problem.
But it shows me as co-editing and probably others in the panels, but we'll try to avoid interfering with your diagram.
Close this one. If you had from me, some of you still have, and the what I call ignorant scientists of Belgium, somebody is putting things here.
Stefania, if you could stop writing on the whiteboard, just move your
pen, move out.
If you can somehow. Now I see Mario's up on the screen. There must be another way of doing this. Okay, who could see what you share here?
I got rid of one.
Okay, good.
Yeah, there's one in there, which is me. Okay.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah. No. As I said, the ignorant scientists of the Belgium did not understand. The same as they didn't understand how we created CO2 and gases and nano-coated, and they said they're using nuclear material. If you look at, or some of you might have had a chance or have systems, do not open them because they are very strange creatures there. You see a magnet which is about, it's about this shape. You don't get the shape. I don't understand why. Something is wrong here. We see participants on one panel and we don't see another one. I'm going to go out of the sharing and come back in again. This is something wrong with pitfall with this new, and they say it's a new.
Okay, there is a who can start sharing when someone else is sharing? Host only. Okay, can you initiate new whiteboard in the web room?
Yeah. Okay. So if you open, or if you looked at it, there is a circular magnet, specific characteristic. It took us a long time to develop this and make. This magnet has a specific characteristics which matches certain characteristics of the body of the man and interacts with it. It took me years of research and development to develop such a magnet, to strengthen, match it to the plasma of the body of the man. So it's not something new. These units were made past 20 years, more or less. And you will see that, can you get rid of this Stefania? She's somewhere and she comes everywhere, right in the middle of the picture.
Stefania, somehow your mouse is back on the screen again. It was missing for a while. Now it's back on the screen. You have to somehow move your mouse off the screen, off the whiteboard.
We cannot do anything with it. We've got to find out how this thing works.
Well,
so
it's at the bottom anyway. So
yeah. What you see, you can develop magnets. You can create magnetic fields, which can give you indication of the strength of the plasma. This is, you don't have the most sophisticated magnetic field detectors, earth detectors, fields, and the rest of it. Do not forget, in 1975, US Marine Corps developed a technology in conjunction with some scientists that they rotated magnets against each other in a specific way, and they created lift. Those two magnetic sets and the speed of rotation match the Earth's gravitational magnetic fields in the inertia level. With the new system, it's different. We develop the technology that we can change the Earth's gravitational magnetic field strength. And this has a lot of implications and applications. And in the near future, this will become part of the pattern of the symbol measurement, or tools to measure if you have a field, how far it is, how it does. Do not look for, if I put a magnet, how far it push away from whatever you're testing, the plasma. Look for repetitive cycle rotation and the swing movement. And measure these. It gives you the field strength, and then gradually you develop a system how to measure. And it's the only way for knowledge seekers to be able to read. Any other question? You can go back to your normal screen.
okay, just 1 second here. Okay, here we go. Okay, we have a hand up with Brett here. Brett, would you like to go ahead there, please?
I was just muffing around trying to get my speaker. I don't know. Mr. Keshe, everything seems to be so familiar. And everything that you speak about, everything that we are doing, it's just like the bell is ringing all the time. And I'm enjoying it. I really, really am. And that's really all I wanted to say. I got lots of questions and things that I'd like to bring forward about the design of the Magrav coils. Because
We all have. We have had 7 years of thinking about it.
yeah, I know, but you know, like honest to goodness, I had a moment with my father, and I was about 9 years old, and he's an architect, right? So he's sitting there and he's drawing his drawings, and I'm just sitting there looking, and I said to him, "This seems so abstract, Dad." And he goes, "No, we tell you what to do here. We tell you the measurements here. We've got this and we've got that." And, you know, I was about 9 years old, and I said, "No, I'm getting tired, Dad. I have to go to bed." But I said, "It all seems so abstract." And he turned around to me and said, "But the builders know what they're doing." So how does when you look at the plants and you see all of these things to the sides of what you've got to do, it just seems so obvious that the coils that I got from the foundation really not suitable to my understanding of what the plans are. So this is not a criticism, it's a fact. So I can see what the plans say, I understand them, but there's got to be some way. Is there any way that we can have new coils that are more to the standard of what is on the plans? That's, I guess, what I'm saying.
The Magrav coil doesn't matter you made it or you bought it from the foundation, are more or less more than you can ever handle as a knowledge, for, not even for now, and for the future. The combination of the fields, if you look at it, if you understand it, is enormous. But you again tell us that is not adequate. Maybe it shows we need a better understanding of what you have, which you have not understood. You have to understand every ring of a coil is one plasma. You've got to understand, as magnets, each turn creates its own fields in respect to one previous and then you got to understand you have embedded this in another coil, which again has interaction between itself and the others, and internally with the other ring inside. And at the same time, common denominator with the others. You have, I can't remember the exact number of turns. If I'm correct, is somewhere around about 89 or 90. So it's 90 of these. And then internally, and then you have 3 stacks of them. And now in one row you have that. You have the same in the other row, which you have created. And now you have all the individual interaction of this with this, this with that, this with this, this with that, that with this, that with that. In the world of gambling, if you have 49 numbers and you have to choose 7 in different combinations, you have about 14 million combinations. Here you have 3 times 49 or 50 inside. You have 3 times 80, 90. And then you put those by order of magnitude. You will see that the maggraph system you have will give you more or less every field strength that exists within every cell of the body of the man. As I said, knowledge seekers have not understood what I gave you as a magnets. I gave you knowledge of the matter and the fields together in one set. Then what you have on top of it, you have the creation of the matter state, which is a copper inside. And then you have a nanomatter state, which is on top. Plus you put gases on addition to it. Then you understand. You have the full spectrum of the field of energy of life in the universe. It's you who have not understood it. And it's so complete. If you add, you know, when you get into your car and you go to different countries, they put an A and a B and 4 digits and maybe an A and a B at the end. This is the order of magnitude, because if you start with A, you have possibility of changing all these before you go to B, let alone keeping this side always at A. You have been given such a powerful system that you don't even understand it. And the lack of understanding, blame us for not giving you the right tool. And on top of it, a lot of you knowledge seekers with a ball with a mixture of gases, which continuously changes the environment. It's what we taught today. What happened, you change the environment. And even these environments interact, which create different conditions, as they cannot be stable they continuously lose and gain energy. So before you blame us for not giving you the right tool, I encourage you try to understand what you have. English have a beautiful saying: ignorance is a bliss. And knowledge seekers should not be ignorant. And if you understand the combination and the possibilities of how you can use magnets as a plasma field, as the essence of the new technology, you'll be baffled that the way you said you sat in front of your father as an architect and you could see beyond. It'll take your great grandchildren to understand 1% of the technology in the matters. You look at saving a few watts and volts. I give you a knowledge of the universe that through your lack of understanding, we are blamed that there's something wrong. Let me explain to you something much deeper if you understand it. If, oh, I need a new page. If you have a copper and you coil it, you have one set of energies. How come I don't see the new one? I added a new page. This is crazy. This is absolutely crazy in this new pictures. I tried to.
Not all things in life need improvement, right? And they kind of messed up on this one.
They've really screwed it up early. Somebody must have a bonus for creating such a mess somewhere in the company.
I'm sure they got a raise, yeah.
If you look at a copper wire, which you make a coil from, and I showed you when you coil it, what combination of fields you have. That was all the zeros you could get. Now, that's one field strength. If you decide to change from the copper into alloy of copper and zinc, then you see the game changes again. If you try to make alloys of 10 different materials in metal state, you will see the zeros are piling up. Then if you decide one half of the coil will be just one alloy and the other half another alloy, and then on top of it, different mixture of gases. My dear friend, adding up zeros till the cows come home. And each zero was one field strength, one energy strength somewhere in the universe that you have not understood and you don't know how to measure. So before you tell me it's useless, you have to understand you have not understood the use of it. And ignorance is a blessing. And now you understand how complicated how deep the maglev systems are. And depends on which one of the turns you want to use the field of. In the maglev system, I have given you a power system that can help you anywhere in the universe, let alone on Earth. It's your lack of knowledge that blames us for making a mistake. Read the manual. Any other question?
Okay, we have a number of questions in the Q&A here. Let's see what we can address. Let me see, from Leo from the Brazilian community through Cristiano. Question to Mr. Keshe. Says, thank you, Mr. Keshe, for passing on this valuable knowledge. I'd like to ask you two questions. One, can people who have titanium implants in their bodies use these new headset units?
Depends how and where it is and what is there for. We have tested titanium plate with the military hospital officers of the Chinese government 40 years ago, with a person having a titanium piece on the back of his head as part of his skull. And we've seen no problem. Because it's not growing, it's a piece put add-on. It's just glued on. It's just there to keep the brain in place, if you look at it. But when you have titanium joints and we interact with the calcium structure of the body of the man, the calcium will grow because it has to take. You see, the problem with these titaniums, if you understand it in the matter state and in the what I call energy state, is that you have a bone. Oh God. You have a bone and you have a joint. They cut it from here and they put a titanium joint on top of it. But you have to not to forget that this body, this bone is in part of a body which, if you didn't have the bone at all, with the present knowledge of what comes up, if we create the right condition, the bone will appear on its own, because its gravitational magnetic field structure is sitting in the soul of the man, in the soul of physicality of the man. So even though you cut the bone off and you put the titanium, the field strength, the shape of the bone which was there is still there. So the fields try to grow into it, and the bone grows and will push the titanium bone out of its position. It breaks your hip if it's in your hip, because if you didn't have it, if you would have cut the head of the femur, for example, in a few months' time, if you create the right condition, the femur will be there. You don't need a transplant, you don't need the titanium joint. So the problem is, we say don't do it because we know if you're sitting in the, happen to be in the right strength, this bone will move and then will push the hip joint titanium out of its place. And if it moves up, it breaks your hip. This is the reason we tell you not to do. If you have a shoulder titanium, which is very common nowadays, it'll be the same. We've seen it. We saw this in original trials, very first trials 12, 14 years ago, that the shoulder bone started growing and the gentleman was always in pain. We asked for the measurement of the bone, we saw growth of the bone. The process has to stop. Because in 6 months, bone is still there, even though you took the material side out of it. And now with the new technology creating plasma, you build it in. So this is the reason we tell you, do not, especially where it's screwed, a plate or whatever, where there's a heart support system with the electronic system in it. No, because the same fields interact, and then you have all sorts of problems. Some people can get away with it, but not all people can get away with it. And all depends on how you use, because the strength of the fields of the GANs, so whatever you use, is, even though you think you made the calcium GANs, but it's not the calcium strength of the bone. So it doesn't build, doesn't create. But if you happen to accidentally or purposely build the calcium of the bone of the man strength, then you grow. This is what we will see in the future. Nowadays, they do, I use this, very careful about this, biopsy, piece of the bone, you culture it to its field strength, and then you create that field strength over the damaged bone. It'll repair itself. You don't need to do a hip transplant. Our doctors don't have the knowledge. In the future, in a coming up future, you will see these coming up. In the space cities, which will be built in China and in Iran in coming months and years, we will develop these technologies in the hospital of the space cities. These will be magical cities. You come, you go to a normal hospital, you have to go through the operation and hip replacement. You go to the plasma hospitals, they take magnetic field strength of your bone, and then they concentrate it above your bone. It will change itself, and there's no need for it. The, what they call it, the knee GANs is the beginning of this structure, but in a different way, but in principle, the same knowledge. And in the future, looking for a donor, it'll become a joke. It's easier to get a donut than a donor. Because when the doctor's sitting there and the patient's having a donut, they have already processed the heart, the lung, the kidney, and the rest. It's a new knowledge. Our doctors have to understand and implement it. And those of you who attended the pH and the insulin, you already have seen the work. We have a testimonial today from our one of our groups that even thyroid gland has changed from 1.1 to something 5 point or 6 point something, 0.6 something. Now we have started interacting with the body of the man and the strength of the body itself, not by forcing it chemically, radioactively, and the rest of it. So titanium and materials especially have a screw in it is a no-go because of this reason. We have had cases where you have the vertebra and you have a disc, and a disc in between has depleted, and the doctors have screwed this to this. We can create this disc. We've shown it can be done with this technology. We have brought this in a way. Now if you put it, you have to understand When they fuse it, your disc is gone. You have this gap, and the screws are here. Now you create a condition, and you come to this point. The screws with the plates on them is fixed. So what happens? Vertebral bones will break. Because all you did, you regenerated, you reduced the disc, which was not supposed to be there. And now it's there. And the screws, the plate they put on your vertebra, you'll create a problem. We have developed the technology. Without this, you can create a disc in between the vertebrae. And the skull is not that. It's a very advanced technology. I've done this many times with doctors, and it works. This is the reason we tell you you don't have the background knowledge, and we just tell you because we've seen the results over years.
So, Mr. Keshe, Leo's second question was, can the knee GANs be used on people who have titanium screws in their knees?
No.
Okay.
No.
There was a further question in the YouTube about what about aluminum wire? Someone had aluminum wire. I'm not sure why they use aluminum wire, but apparently there is medical uses for aluminum wire in the body.
Yes, they do that. It's a commonly used. It used to be used much more. Now it's very, very rare due to poisoning and transfer of the material to the brain cells, which brings Alzheimer's and the rest. It used to be very common. It's the same.
Same general principle with foreign bodies. And now you did mention, though, that for people with dental fillings or implants, then that's okay. Apparently, it's a different.
Yes, but you have to understand. A tooth is already matter state.
It's self-contained matter state.
In open matter state, in the GANS state, a plasma condition. We are not interacting with the matter, we're interacting with the plasma state above. That's why we haven't seen any problems in that direction. Actually, we've seen a lot of good things with it. And especially now with the Corona aftermath, we're seeing a lot of problem with people and their tooth. I don't have access to the pictures, but our doctors have provided us with these pictures. Let me see if I can download and transfer. We see a lot of youngsters. Our doctors reporting to us, I've seen a lot of cases are coming up in their files. Children in the young age lose their tooth in the upper jaw out of nowhere. They had a small flu, and we never seen this before, and they start losing their tooth to the gum level. There is nothing because the rest of the tooth in the back, most of it, or the bottom jaw does not get touched. If it was something, we should have seen it everywhere. We see a sexual difference between boys and girls, but majority of them, it's above tooth level. Just let me see. I can actually show it to you here. Let me show you. This is why we put this, what do you call, Corona session at the end of October. There is a reason for it, for doctors will show you. If you look at this, I have it. Just let me. This is what we have received from our doctors. Let me see why I'm not getting it on my share photos. I show you, you understand how critical it is. We have people in hospitals that calcification of the corona time has now appeared in the lung and they can't do anything with it. We've never seen before corona. And now it's manifesting itself and they just call it, there is a problem. I hope our doctors understand there is no picture here to breach confidentiality. This is what we have today with our children. These are, we know, these are pictures from our doctors, the people who use the technology. And more of them are disappearing in past few months. It's not rotten, calcium just disappearing. You see the nervous system and everything underneath is there. There is nothing in there even to pull the tooth out. Now you see the beauty of the new technology. You're building it. You see this and you see this. New parts, dentists tell you this is impossibility. Growing tooth and changing the life of a child using plasma technology and bringing the changes. And these are all from our doctors. This comes from their surgery, their patients. And dentists tell you this is impossible to do. And this is all in a matter of weeks. So when we talk about tooth, we've seen in grown-ups, dentists tell us they are seeing cases that the top of the tooth is out, but there are no roots. The effect of the field of the corona has taken all the roots out, and then the tooth just breaks and there is no roots in it. This is why we put the corona session in. We see a lot of other things which is coming from corona, and governments don't even know how even to call some of these diseases. And our doctors reporting from the cases which are coming up. And this is the beauty with a new technology. And this is how we do it. And you you understand why we can deal with the two separately, because it's partially an entity which is already materialized, is not inside the full plasma condition of a body sealed in like a bone of a hip or whatever. You need to change your pictures, Rick. So, in coming to these kind of things, this is what we told you, the evolution in science. It's like the way we built with simple ways the brain of Naomi. We have asked to understand the technology, but we have to understand how to apply them, where and why we don't apply, we don't allow it. If you have a with a dentist, dental jobs, the Keshe Foundation doctors can actually pinpoint to which tooth they want to go to. When they say, can you grow a tooth which has been pulled out? You have to understand it's not just the tooth, the position is. You have to reach to the brain, to the soul, trigger that part that allows the tooth to regrow. You know, they say when you're after 90 or 100, your tooth will start regrowing. Do you know why? Does anybody understand the reason for it? Have our scientists understood the reason why in old ages, very old ages, some of us may grow or do grow tooth? That's it, very simple. Now we understand the new plasma technology. The fields of the man at the old age, very old age, it changes into the dimension. They say the behavior becomes childish at the old age and the rest of it. So we go back to the process of the field strength of our childhood. And that field strength allows, creates a condition in the brain to structure, to order, to set and make facilities for the tooth to grow up out of nowhere. Doesn't this happen to us when we are a baby born 8 months, 9 months, 10 months, we start growing them, and then when you're 7, 5, 6 years old, the whole thing drops off. There is nothing in there. And then we see a new tooth rises because the brain cells in the progress of their childhood allows, triggers, fields that triggers this growth. So now in the old age, we do the same in reversing the process. We pass that field strength, not only changes our behavior to childish behavior a bit, but actually physically we go back to that strength fields of the childhood, which trigger the growth of the tooth. Then I'm sure Azar is scratching her head, says, how can I ask a doctor sitting on my table or a professor who lost a tooth to make him a child again for a while till a tooth grows, and then I'll bring him back to be a doctor or a professor? It's possible to do. Knowledge of God has no diplomas, degrees, and professorships. It needs understanding. And he can still be a professor, and he can still trigger a strength in certain part of the brain. It cannot be done on its own. You have to go back to the soul. You have to go to the soul of physicality. You have to go to a structure of the brain where a field strength at the strength of the age of 5 or 6 is repeated, that the nerve grows back, then the tooth will come out. And you don't need to be 80 and 90. Then you see if this knowledge understood fully. I do apologize for our dentist. Do we need any dentist? But we have to complete the technology, because if a man gets a toothache on Mars, we cannot 7 months ship him back to Earth to get him to a dentist. Or I'm sure they have carried the hammer with them when we go back. If you remember the olden days with the dentist, the hammer will do the job. Understand the technology will open a new horizon. which you can change. There'll be so much new jobs, there'll be so much new research with this technology that the man will not have time to research and to make weapons to kill. He'll have enough time to create, time to position our life. Once we trigger, understand the knowledge of the creation and its pitfalls on this planet, then we export this knowledge to the universe. The creatures of God in the universe have the same physical problems and some different than us, but at the same time they still have. So we become the medicine men of the universe if we understand the work in our own life first. Because we understand the work of the fields and how it works. Any other question?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Keshe. Let's see here. We have another question in the Q&A from Boots Michael in German. I've got it translated as, good morning. Is there any news about satellite people? Thank you.
Yes, we'll come to you lot sometime next year. This is part of our work with Chinese. And I'll explain that in more detail. Yes. Man makes satellites out of metal and the rest. Keshe Foundation knowledge seekers use the soul as satellite to help to others and to be connected and reached. And the time for it is coming very, very close. Yes.
Okay, question from Peng Peter in the YouTube. What is the government's stance on the plasma car, and how will the Keshe Foundation assist this transition in aligning with the current traffic control and transportation systems?
There are, in a way, I should choose my words very carefully. In a way, we have to consider that governments cannot hold technologies to ransom. Secondly, governments come to understand with this technology is to their benefit to encourage this new technology. We are inviting Mr. Musk into the presentation of 11/11. He'll be personally invited. As I told you, this presentation is very high profile. And if he accepts and we explain and see and understand the technology, there's a lot of things will change in our transportation system. First of all, we don't need electric cars. Secondly, while we are sitting in the car, if you don't travel with your soul, in conjunction with the manufacturers, the way you have seen the obesos, we can create conditions while you're in your car, you're fed, what you don't need is taken out. Any illnesses you may occur or come was handled by the system. When you go home, you say, I'm home, darling. You are really darling, because you go home with a lot of love and care. She doesn't need to stand behind the cooker and hold it to please your stomach, because you're already being fed. And man will find a new dimensions in life. These are inevitable. We cannot stop it. We don't do it. The others will do it, and I'll welcome them to do it. And will become a new way to change things. We don't have a choice. The cat is out of the bag, and millions of your knowledge seekers, you are the cats. Nothing can put the knowledge again back in the bag and you can share it. That's why I said when you're there. The new technology for transportation does not consider any of these. There is a structure done in a black budget of American government in conjunction with Boeing. In charge of this, I've said that many times before, there used to be a Chinese guy who has made the tunneling of the cars on the roads. They've done a lot of development and research for when this technology comes. But their technology even is obsolete, but it has a framework for the plasma technology to come into operation. We've done a lot of work with Kent University in assessing what weight the car can be and distance and speed and everything else, and all these will be factored into the system and into the cars and the rest of it. There'll be a reconstruction of cities, there'll be reconstruction of amenities and facilities in the next 10, 20 years with this new technology. You won't have a cable lifts to go up and down. You found the gravitational field positioning instantaneously 100 floors up. You will find out the car operation will go through the window. These are all in patents. Just go and read it. Now you understand. The chicken has come home to roost. Then you've seen a lot of it, and we show a lot of new technologies in the coming year in different presentations and conferences, where we go back to what we started before Corona. And now we don't give speeches, we bring systems to every nation we land. We show it's a plasma show and understanding of it to enlighten the science of that nation, that continent, to carry on, to add to. And Chinese want it or not, Indians want it or not, Americans want it or not, the third world nation will go with it because they want to provide facilities for their citizens, and no government can stop. Doesn't need the budgets of Americans to feed and to control. And technology is out and it's mass production, so there should be no worries. As I always said many times, thanks to the Belgians in the arrogance of stealing, trying to steal technology and killing people around the Keshe Foundation, they left us too long to teach too much, to educate too much, and to be free too much, to develop too much, to bring too much changes to too many people. And now is the time for it, to bring that change. Any other question?
We have a question kind of in that regard from Doug McDonald. Is the retirement of Rupert Murdoch a positive sign of lifting the embargo of the Keshe Foundation in the mainstream media?
The position is very clear. The media is not controlled by no one anymore. The internet has broken that embargo. And from what we see, they don't play, they don't go out. They'll find out they're irrelevant. 3% of the population in most advanced nations now regularly watches television. Very, very, very few. When we say 3%, we are talking about age 15 to 35 to 40, those who actually bring the change. Television now is become age bracket about the state of a nation and age of a nation. And the number of people watching television programs is sometimes lower than the internet programs. Even the children do not watch TV anymore, but they they choose what they want to watch. It's very interesting, a new statistic. Just if you go on the Google, Rick, and put the highest watched ever YouTube video, can you do that? Then you understand how much things has changed and they become irrelevant. The highest number of, you'll be amazed what is number one, the highest ever watched, and it's still getting watched, YouTube video. You see it?
Baby Shark?
Shark, yes. Look at the numbers. How many billion times?
13 billion
Time.
views.
Our babies don't watch TV anymore, let alone the adults. It means every man on this planet has watched this video twice. So Rupert Murdoch goes with his name. And this is where the technology and the people we brought in will work for the promotion. CNN and BBC will bend their backwards to be able to show something new that they can capture audience.
They're not in the top 15 here.
No, they
it's
don't.
all just independent people. There's one or two TV program shows or whatever, but it's Choo Choo TV and Miro Shaka TV or whatever. So
yeah, these are all
very little.
Children don't watch TV anymore. So they are the things of the past. And if they don't move with it, they haven't moved with it, they've lost it. Not many people read newspapers. I remember in 70s and 80s, we used to have these tablet, huge newspapers, and then they made it tabloid, they reduced it. And it was a big chaos how people would read such a small thing. They were used to all the big things. And now hardly anybody buys newspapers because you can get it on the internet if you're interested in the news. And everything else.
Even the Baba Black Sheep nursery rhymes is doing better than all the news and TV programs.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah.
So now you understand when we say, and if you look age bracket, only people over 60, 65, which are not savvy with computers, they watch TV for news. The 60, 65 who are savvy with the internet, they don't even watch TV because it's a waste of time, it's too old. There used to be I don't know if you remember, there was a series called Dallas years and years ago. And when that used to come on Saturday night in England, the streets used to be empty. Everybody used to be home watching it. Nowadays, nobody cares. And these things are, maybe have 5,000, maybe 10,000 viewers, where they used to count them in millions because nobody watches TV. So Rupert Murdoch has gone the same as if you I watch many people who did not go with time, they've gone. And the newspapers are irrelevant, television systems are irrelevant. But they're there as a point of reporting, and they will hold some positions for some time. I'm sure many of you will blog it, what you've seen in the thing, in the London November show. So don't worry about this one Murdoch, and I saw somebody send me documents about Philip Green, the king of retail in England, is escaping everywhere, and all his companies are going belly up because more people buy other places and they don't go to shops. Shop going is just window watching. It's very amazing if you go to some shops nowadays, especially the youngsters. They don't take clothing to try in the changing rooms. If you look at the present changing rooms in shops, they're empty. Because if you see them, a lot of them, they come to the shop and just take a scanned picture of the tag. They go home, they order it in the freedom of their home, and if they like it, they keep it, otherwise they send it back. And young generation has said goodbye to television. There's a better TV on their watch under their pockets than sitting on a chair like the grandpas and the grandmas watching an old television program. And it's the same faces, hasn't changed. I was shocked. I was in England, in Manchester 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, for the meeting of the knowledge seekers, and habit watching what's on the British television. I left England over 20 years ago. I lived in England for nearly 30 years. The broadcasters, the presenters are all from 30 years ago. They haven't changed. It's the same people. And I thought, hasn't time moved? What happened? The same shows. Coronation Street and EastEnders. The babies we watched being born in that series, now they are teenagers and the adults and the mom and dads themselves. And who watches this anymore? They don't even have the finances to bring new faces in, and are still using the old guard because it has no meaning. Berlusconi was the best one in the Italian televisions, and he was still dictated by international news media what he can show. Now it's gone. Don't worry about it. Any other question?
Okay, from our Q&A in the Zoom chat here, from George, says, if someone has the new headset on and transmutes to another state of matter, like gas, solid, or liquid, or to another state of plasma, what would happen to the headset unit? Would it stay here, transmute with the person, or what?
They keep you here. You're still connected. That's the reason for them. You cannot escape. You can go for a trip, but we still keep the suitcase.
And same with the implant headset unit.
It will be the same. It's a part of the connection. It's very interesting. I mean, we were supposed, as I said, to meet with the knowledge seekers tomorrow for the explanation of the graphs. Now it's moved to November because I have to be somewhere very, very important that we had to move this, otherwise we would have done so. And we can see where as I said before last week, I think, where the soul reduces back into its position, and then when he expands again, our system shows. We can see, I was explaining to a knowledge seeker yesterday, we can see in which direction the soul and which strength is receiving information. It's getting more and more. We understand more, we can explain more in detail. we can see the fields which are coming to elevate the soul before the soul is elevated in our system. In the next generation, we just put a new system. We can make it in a way three-dimensional to see, for example, in the very near future, if it's on your left side of the brain or the right side of the brain, you communicate with your grandma. In which side of the brain you travel. In which side of the brain you absorb energies for your body. It's very clear. And we can see when you switch off and you go to physical dimension. And in next few weeks, putting a new system, we can more or less very soon create a three-dimensional picture of the physicality of the man and the soul of the man, and how, when he expands beyond, we can say now, we sit and watch. I was watching one very recently, and we said, okay, 8 minutes. Within 8 minutes, 2 seconds, I think, the soul moved from the time we put the headset on, expanded beyond, and start interacting with the environment. And we see suddenly physicality takes over, and then they change. And to what extent they change? Soul still stays very near wanting to take over the physicality, because the person, it's amazing what these data, these things are coming, and the new addition of units into it will give us an insight in a much deeper way and makes the transmutation very, very easy. Maximum 12 months. The way you see ATM machines, in next 5 or 10 years, you see transmutation machines at supermarkets and everywhere. Banks will give you a free transmutation if you want to go to the bank, and you don't have to travel half of the world to get there. The biggest job will disappear next 10 years is this delivery guys delivering food to you. I'm sure the Chinese will push it faster than the Japanese. There will be a time when you don't have a microwave in the house, you have transportation of food. The companies give you to have this at home. You place an order, cooked, delivered to you, and instead of opening microwave and heat it up, fresh food is delivered. These are not fantasies, these are realities. We have the system, you're building it. And these are the changes to come. And we are the flag bearers, and you, knowledge seekers, and the rest of humanity will be the developers of it. Supermarkets will place, you see this machine in London. It's getting done, I hope they complete it, where we can put you in one system and take you out after that. At least the structure of it is there till the technical side of it gets completed. There is huge amount of changes which will change everything we know at the present time for our work. I have a very, very big surprise when we show the technology in Tehran. And we show the technology in Tehran when the technology is ready. And most probably in Saudi Arabia. As I said, except the frock of Baha'u'llah, bless his name, Saudis have kept the frock of Muhammad, bless his name. And you can understand what will manifest in time to come. And we'll see if God gave Ayatollahs to kill in the name of God. They put their frogs down in front of their own creator of their own religion. Or they dispute it. And then we know the consequences of it. The technology is that far, but you are not ready to accept it yet. If I can transmit you from A to B through the energy link of you, all prophets have left the energy of the body within the frog table. We bring an end to religions by scientific means, not by talk. And knowledge has to be understood that it can be created. And then we'll see if the real cloth is from the type of Christ too. Or fake, like it's religion. Any other question?
Well, we have several more questions here in the Q&A from Lisnu. Please explain again what is a toxic relation in a family and how to deal with it.
What?
What is a toxic relation in a family and how to deal with it?
Elevate each other. You can stand back or you can get involved. My attitude is to stand back and not to get involved. But if you want to change, because you have to see what's the consequence of it, what is bring, what you have on your plate. Because when you keep on elevating, you don't know what really is in that pot of the human body you're dealing with. Or you get involved and you elevate, and then it'll be a hunky-dory, everything else. Anything else? Any other question?
Okay, from Onder says, hello, Mr. Keshe and knowledge seekers. I have two questions. Under certain temperatures, monoatomic gold becomes invisible. They say it would travel to another dimension and come back when cooling down again. Do they talk rubbish? And it is, like you said in the intro, different environment, different behavior.
One of my children used to say rubbish.
Rubbish.
If you create accidentally or they do it deliberately, it's not temperature, it's the field strength. The uranium space development uses this trick quite a lot. 1 minute you see, 1 minute you don't. 1 minute you detect, 1 minute you don't. And it's driving the American drone system into nuts. Yes, it's possible. It's not the temperature, it's the field created. Because you have to understand, nano gold is already in plasma state field radiation. It's not in matter state. So it interacts, it inevitably has to interact. Any other question?
He wanted to know more about if you could talk about the Turkey difficulties. He has to send money to his mother. Should his sister send the money instead? He says she is not seeking for knowledge.
At the moment, a lot of banks allow a lot of money goes from all over the world to Turkey. But if it comes to the crunch, they are after, especially big sums. Turkey is on an international blacklist of, on official blacklist of the nations because of its connection with the Russians. The same is United Arab Emirates. And they are marking organizations, individuals, and it's very much, in some, there are very specific cases in some nations. If you send money to, immediately they close their accounts, even for $200. Doesn't matter if you got 1 million in your account. I know a person's got trapped in this, and you cannot reopen your account. Turkey at the moment is unofficially, because they don't want to kick him out of NATO and EU. They said they're walking away. They're going to BRICS, but even the Chinese, if you go to Turkey, they question you why before they give you a visa. They want to know why you've been to, and that's very unusual for Chinese. You travel 100 countries, they don't care. They pick that up, and United Arab Emirates. And holiday is not good enough. But again, it depends on the citizens and the people and who and how you travel. But Turkey is on there. We didn't know that. We had to learn it the hard way. As a, what do you call it, international organization. And the authorities don't want even to hear, because they made their mind in what they want to hear. Any other question?
I have a comment from Antonio in the Q&A. Says, Mr. Keshe, on the 11th of 2023, the world of mankind will be taking that first step, or should I say one giant leap, for nothing will be the same again in the world of science. When I talk to people, the saying technology in exchange for peace, it has been received with great joy. Thank you so much for this exciting development.
We shall see. There's a lot of hard work going on in the background with the Keshe Foundation, Knowledge Seekers, and the others to bring this about. And our promoters are very much understood and work in this way. Technology in exchange for peace, no nation can refuse. No government says we don't accept technology to bring peace to us. And we shall wait and see. It will be very interesting how the world ambassadors will take shape and go and do and come. I have a meeting with one of the world ambassadors in the next few days. And the discussion is how to bring 3 present ex-world ambassadors, well known in the West, are already coming into this, this arena to confirm the way they do in their work, they support the Keshe Foundation. Any other question?
Yosafa in the Q&A here. Hello, Mr. Keshe. Thank you for the teachings. To understand more about this, the fields of the soul of physicality compared to a dynamic reactor, how many cores does it have? Was observing that apparently it would not be just a single envelope, but rather like layers, at least 2, one closer to the periphery of the body and other more in the center, close to the heart.
What about if it's none.
Well, he's thinking, would it be important to understand these layers to control the change in force during expansion, or would it be irrelevant?
Yes, it is relevant, but in a way you don't need it. You got to learn it. You cannot be stranded on the moon because the chip on your transportation system electronically has failed. So you have to understand how you travel the span of universe with the field interaction. You have everything in your body to travel in every direction and every strength in the universe. These are the machines to show your power. These are not machines to facilitate your transmutation. You have a soul and soul of physicality, where you position it, the strength you position it, in respect to each other, in respect to the strength field of each other at a certain given point, and what mixture decides where you want to manifest. And you have all control of it in the name of emotion, and you don't want to listen. So we have to make you these systems to show. It's very interesting. In one of the, I don't know if I told you this, one of the presentations, what we take the traces of the soul, I have to ask one of the participants, do you have something about you? There is something, oh, I received 3 telephone calls in between. And we can see it, how the soul jumps out into physicality and goes back in. And that's why I went to ask the question, what are you doing? I received 30 telephone calls. Sorry, my microwave went off. We see it. It shows you're switching from one to another. So you have a control of it. Oh, I finished with the call. Telephone call is finished. I switched it off. I go back into the soul. We have that power. We can do it when we have the knowledge of how to do it. Why can't you do it other time? This baffled me. How a lot of knowledge. We see it. The soul and the soul of physicality and physicality all go beautifully together. And then you see which one is where and how. And then you know if it's actually a peace lover or actually like a piece of diamond lover. And then suddenly you see them shutting down because they got excited too much with the diamond. How the color is going to be, you go into dimension of physical, and then you see the soul comes back on again. If I had the freedom to show you the graphs of it, you will understand. You will see them in London. Knowledge seekers who attended Manchester have seen some of their own behavior during the time when the system reports back. The knowledge seekers who we did what I call the fingerprint of the soul will be invited in about maybe a year or 2 years time again, the same people, to see what elevation the soul has found, what they see changes in themselves. Have they become more physical, and or have they found out they can do everything in the dimension of energy, not in the matter state? Any other question? It's nearly 12 o'clock.
Yeah, we should, there's a couple more in the Q&A here. Doug says, thank you for your answer, Mr. Keshe. Antonio says, Mr. Keshe, do you see the nomination of Robert Kennedy as unfinished business in America, being that many are still in a state of shock?
I'm the wrong person to give you an answer for this. And I've seen the news, I've seen what is played, but we should have to look at the history of this family, and let's see what comes up and what it is, and how long more we see the present situation going on. The bringing up of this new technology and bringing it out in public in a way is coming up. There'll be a huge changes. If we go our way, and the way we see in the development of the technologies, you have to understand, the way I just explained to you, we see you, if you are a lover or you're a diamond lover, if you understand what it means, you're traveling with the soul or you're traveling with the soul to get that physicality. We put one of these headsets on Mr. Kennedy or other ones, and we ask them questions and everybody see the graph behind them. Now you understand that nobody would like to govern. I hate war, but the soul says this guy is planning the biggest war afterwards. You see it. It's not a truth meter, it's a manifestation of the fields of your own creation.
Mr. Keshe, in the last workshop, you mentioned that the woman who was fixated on the diamond didn't have a soul. Did you mean that literally, or just that she was during that moment, or how does that manifest in your graphs and so on?
No, didn't have a soul. It means the soul wasn't above the physicality. You always have a soul. Doesn't disappear.
Okay.
It shows that the physicality, physical thing is much more important than, what do you call it? Than the energy fields. Or
so the physicality fields sort of obscure the soul function.
When you see it, you understand the graph. It's very clear. We have a line of horizon, and we monitor between it. Knowledge seekers who have received the graphs, they know exactly what. You can read, you will see even in disturbances in thought, they're trying to go back to the soul and the physicality and then switching off and then going back on again. And it's very interesting. Very, very interesting. We're learning more. The new measurement tools are added in the next few weeks, most probably by the 6th. We see a deeper understanding. We understand deeper on the function of which way the systems, how we receive fields. Because if we be able to measure and see the understanding of the position of it, we can feed the man instantaneous. It's like the way they do the fingerprint where the fingers are in your brain construction. If you understand what I'm talking about, we have electronic systems that now can make image of which part of the brain is connected to the hand or the foot or whatever, or to the toes. Now energy fields, we can say which part of the energy we need to give to which part of the soul for it to reflect back on the soul of physicality, to feed the physicality that you don't need. It's just that when our knowledge seekers can connect the lines, and then we bring a 3-dimension into operation. It's a fascinating time coming up for those who are eager to do research and development in these fields. I wrote to one of the top guys. He's a good friend here, and I'm sure he's listening. He has no choice but to listen because he cannot talk with me. I wrote to him, NASA is checkmated. Now you understand what checkmate means. What's the purpose of all these launching pads? And planning for 7 months to go to the Mars, and 7 months come back in and spend 2-3 days there. We send it in 7 seconds. He can stay as long as he likes, and he comes back if he likes in 7 seconds. So, would you like to still get on the rocket and shake and shiver and maybe blown up, or would you like to get a put in the pan of the soul and jump across? Any other question? Let's call it a day. I have a lot of things to do. Oh,
Okay, we're down to just a couple of questions that can be taken over till next week anyway. So,
thank you very much. Please, if you are going to or thinking about coming to London, do it within the next couple of days. As you've seen, the price in one side has increased to 3,000 from 1,500. And I'm sure if the demand goes up, we increase the entry to the week session to 25,000. And the conference, if we have to move it, will go up to about 8 to 20,000 euro per seat. Depends if this is not in our hand, the promoters decide these things, and we've seen it being discussed and being taught. And you've seen the first increase, 1,500 for the weekend, including the conference now is risen to 3,000. Thank you very much for being here, and I hope we can bring you to see the changes that you can, as knowledge seekers, carry on when I'm gone. Thank you very much. Hopefully we meet each other next week.
okay, very good. Thank you so much, Mr. Keshe, for yet another Knowledge Seekers Workshop, number 505 today. Here on Thursday, September 28th, 2023. Thank everyone for being here to be present for our broadcast, and for those who listen in later. And our next public teaching workshop, let me consult the calendar here. And we're going to be into October already. And that'll be Tuesday, October 3rd for the One Nation, One Planet, One Race for World Peace and Justice, with members of the Universal Council. That starts at the 4 p.m. Central European time. So folks are welcome to attend that workshop. And I think that's all for announcements for now. Stephania says that Tuesday is her birthday. So there we go. She's one of the members of the Universal Council. Okay. Again, thanks everyone for being here, and we'll go out with our usual favorite flight enhancement spaceship unit music version, and see you all in the next public teaching workshop. Bye for now.